Yo, good morning, everybody, or whatever time of day it is, wherever this is reaching you. Welcome to this week's AMA. I'm here with Alex. Those of you that don't know, we're going to kick off Ergo Hack 7 tomorrow. I've seen a lot of nice ideas floating around, teams coming together. I'm excited to see what people build. How are you doing today, Alex?
Yeah, doing well. My bad, so I've forgotten to start the streaming. So yeah, going to fix that right now. So then there will be a stream over the Telegram. Otherwise, yeah, doing well. So preparing to the Ergo Hack, which is starting from tomorrow.
Yeah, exciting times for that. Those of you that don't know, it's about building kind of the adoption future of finance, trying to create tools that are open, resilient, accessible for everybody, and move things, I would say, in the right direction in terms of how finance, trying to create tools that are open, resilient, accessible for everybody. And in terms of how, I'd say the traditional financial system works. Trying to build some alternative, which is exciting to be a part of. I love it when the community shows up with good ideas. A lot of developers out there that have good tools that are coming together. So let's see what happens. So what are you working on for this Ergo Hack, Alex?
With Soysor, we are thinking to research and do maybe some prototype around sidechains. So probably, hopefully, contracts for transferring from main chain to side chain and back will be done, as well as some prototype on side chain data living on the Ergo main chain.
That's awesome. It's always a big open question in terms of like the economic model or incentive there. And, I've always found that one of the more interesting ideas that's come out of the Bitcoin community that's never really been realized and implemented in any meaningful way. See how side chains or roller chains can kind of coexist. So that's awesome to see research and development in that direction. We did have a developer update yesterday, the Wednesday. We're going to put together a video for everybody out there that's interested in the technical updates. That usually drops on Sunday. So those of you out there, we should actually get a fair amount of content this week. We usually try to put out some videos from community members, developers, projects, etc. around Ergo Hack. And that's always something that's kind of a joy for me to see because, I'm not in the video, so it's a lot more comfortable to watch. So what's up with you this week, Alex? What's new on the core development front?
All right. So, in the first place, there will be Ergo Summit again after the Ergo Hack, right, with videos from Ergo Hack participants. And then for the core development, so I made a plan for the Ergo Hack, right? So, to trying to get a realistic plan for it with some design notes. There was one fix merged into 5.15. I am currently testing it, reviewing updates in Ergo 3 interpreter, so the Sigma state repository. Also checking some papers and what's left for the big blocks API. So I think, we can have developers chat next week, so after the Ergo Hack on the big blogs and corresponding matters. And sidechains also probably would be a good addition to the discussions, because well, it's anyway related matters, right? Sidechains, layer 2 solutions, and then well, layer 1 improvements, right? In regards with confirmations, and well, there are some hard topics here as well. For incentivization, if well, some additional entities will enter the protocol, such as blocks.
No, I'm looking forward to having that discussion. There's always room for that type of thing. I've heard there's been a few alternatives as well, but I'm not sure exactly how fleshed out or mature they are. But it's exciting to see that type of discussion, questioning, line of inquiry, and development path come up. Right. I think that's ultimately a big part of kind of the 6.0 era that we're exploring. Let's see. Anything else to cover before we hop into the community questions?
All right. So, well, just very recently, like 12 hours ago, like so, right? So the auction for the first gold oracle token was finished with pretty big amount, right? Probably the biggest auction to the moment, if my memory serves me well.
I think there was a piece of music a long time ago that when the auction house first came on, that was actually a bit larger, but it's been a while.
Oh, really? So I can remember the first token, which was sold for about 2,000 ERC. So it was also a proof of work token. Well, issued by Ergo Foundation and commemorating Ergo Auctions launch.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it was sold for about 2,000 ERC, but the ERC was like 20 or 30 cents back then.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Hard to compare, actually.
I actually like seeing the auction house used for that type of kind of P2P sales, where it kind of gets access to public market. That's an interesting use case there.
Yeah, so it's also used for OTC sales, right? So, well, there is an auction for 1,500 GORD tokens, right? So as liquidity is low on the spectrum right now, so well, it's maybe better to use auction house for big amounts like these to avoid losses due to slippage.
Yeah.
So yeah, interesting.
Yeah, it's a really interesting platform for that type of I don't know, use case. Putting something on kind of it's both a private DeFi use case, but it also gets public eyes and interaction, which is fascinating. Nice to see. All right, you ready to hop into the developer update? Or not developer update, the questions. Sorry, guys, I'm still waking up.
All right, so let's do so.
All right, first
we cover it like everything to the moment.
Yeah, I would just reiterate everybody out there, Ergo Hack's coming, so hopefully we get a lot of eyes, community engagement, a lot of neat ideas. First question from Wendy Moon is along those lines. Can't wait for Ergo Hack. What big things do you wish to see? Alex?
For the Ergo Hack?
Yeah.
I don't know. There are additional prizes, right, announced recently.
Mhm.
Raffle done for them. It would be to me personally good to see Blockly integration, right? Then you can do contracts just in a visual editor. Then what else? Trusted wallets integration looks good. Then Ergo Foundation can apply to be listed in the Trust wallet. About other projects, I don't know. As far as I know, there are like 15 projects.
Mhm.
But I don't know what's there. It would be interesting to see.
Yeah, I would say I usually just like to see kind of creative applications, right? Some people will see a gap in the ecosystem and try to fill it. Some people will have a creative idea that they want to implement. There's a it's actually really hard to be a judge in Ergo Hack because I don't know, projects aren't always like in parallel, so it's hard to create like a direct comparison in terms of like their use case or uh, I don't know the idea. It's a difficult position to be in actually. Um, I've struggled with that in the past. Looks like I will again this time. Fun. So I would just say be creative and get done what you can get done within the time. I'm really happy to see people participate. Next question is from the Big 3D. He says, "Guys, where's Dan? Has he left Ergo?" No, Dan's a pretty big guy, so he's hard to lose. But actually, that's something that periodically he struggles with because he's traveling everywhere, going to Dubai, to Las Vegas, to multiple crypto events, kind of globally. And I hate to say that I imagine he's like a sardine in an airplane, but he's kind of like a sardine in an airplane. And I do know that that certainly travel takes a toll. He's also working on Zengate. I know that they're kind of pushing towards their launch. So I imagine at this point he's busy. I can say before this AMA, yeah, he just said I'm a little buried right now. I hope to join next week. So Dan's still around. It's just juggling. Life is like that sometimes. Next question. Do you think the MEXC listing is still possible? What's your take, Alex?
I think yes. If needed, but hard to say what would be the next step. The Ergo Foundation will discuss, but
Sure.
I don't know. Maybe it makes sense to have a community chat on that. I don't know. So, what do you think? Is it needed?
Well, I think that one benefit of MEXC for now is that it does allow U.S. customers access, and that's something that is a big pain point right now with markets due to changes at KuCoin, changes with CoinEx, and I guess it's somewhat practical to say, okay, well, how long is for now, right? It would be a shame to see people come together and raise funds to kind of create that liquidity access point and then have it close, which is always a risk. I think that there's definitely a benefit there based on the current need of the community. But then the question, always breaks down in kind of decentralized ecosystems is, resources and time, right? And I guess this is more a question of resources. It's been out for the community to potentially, partake in the cost of access as it is a decentralized community. And, ultimately, I would say it's going to, especially over time, the community needs to come together and assist and kind of the path to market. And so to some degree, it's like a public vote, but it's a vote with your wallet, right? So I haven't looked at the raffle currently. Right now it kind of reflects either that people don't want to spend their ERG given market conditions, or there's not interest. I would imagine it's actually more of the first than the second. But then it's also something that I guess we have to look at it. And I think community discussion is definitely the way forward with these type of things. Unfortunately, most of the time when it comes to exchanges, that's something where it's either a non-disclosure agreement or simply a conversation where if any of this information leaks to the general public, then we won't work with you. So it's actually quite hard to engage the community in these type of which is I understand the intent of it, but it would be nicer to see broader engagement. So let's see. I think it's definitely worth a community chat before that raffle expires.
The issue is that access for U.S. citizens can be finished any day, right?
I believe right now it's possible via VPN. It may not be possible straight. Let's say without some help.
Yeah, and then about centralized exchanges. So it's always pain to talk with them, actually. Right?
Yeah, every time.
To see their conditions and to see what they are doing, publicly and under the hood. So, just yesterday, there was information that FTX exchange hold Bitcoin below 20K by selling users Bitcoins. Centralized exchanges are doing a lot of shady and bad things all the time. But this is a new bottom, so haven't heard anything about anything like that for many years.
Let's see, my friend. Sometimes rock bottom has a basement when it comes to the crypto markets. It's true. There's a huge attack vector there, especially when you have leveraged products and, you have internal market making. There's just a huge attack vector there. And, I can't say that I'm shocked in any way that, exchanges would, or at least FTX would do that. And, I guess it's just one example of being able to see behind the curtain, right? And there's still a lot of curtains up, so who knows what's going on.
Right, and back in 2021, there were a lot of voices actually in the community asking when FTX, right? And from what I know, they charged like 1 to 2 million USD for listing. Right.
2 million. It was 2 million, and they wanted us to make 25 million a day with their own internal service.
Right. So all kinds of the crap here, right? So charging for listing, then require for wash trading. Then around the listing, I'm pretty sure they did some pump and dump shit, right? Making even more money by scamming users. And then after some time they can even sell cryptocurrencies deposited by users. So you are basically in this case 2 million USD to allow them to scam cryptocurrency holders, which is totally surreal.
That's the black box. I've talked about that for, I don't know, 2 years, trying to get people to understand that when assumptions are unknown, you really have to look at those type of attack vectors, because it's hard to say whether that's happening or not. Sad, but just true.
Yeah, so going back to the Ergo hack, so would be good to see progress in on-ramp, off-ramp options, right? Like maybe seeing an implementation for BISC functionality contracts, right? BISC like functionality contracts sketched by Mr. Stachelfeiger. Actually, a long time ago on the Ergo forum. So would be good. Maybe more of these. So with Rosen and so on. So maybe even a single tech swap would be useful for that, right? So you can, for example, get USDT for fiat, then transfer on the Ergo blockchain, and then use Ergo tick swap or just Spectrum in this case, right?
Yeah. I think there's a certain use case to extend the auction house a little bit and move kind of in the open bazaar direction. That'd be cool to see.
Yeah, so there are a lot of options. So, with better on-ramp and off on-ramp options and DEXs, maybe depend on centralized exchanges could be weakened for the good, because centralized exchanges is the cancer of the space.
Absolutely. I'm 100% with you on that. It's hard to get people to understand I don't know what they give up, right? All right, we got a question. Everybody misses your face, Alex. When will we see a live video of Kushti again? It's been months.
All right, so unfortunately, I have to fix that. Sure, Mike, you've seen on video. So now, I have some issues with drivers on Linux, so I have to use another device, which is paired, and camera here is not stable because I'm holding this. So I don't know. So somehow, I need to solve this. Maybe by using a stand, but camera in this pad device is not good anyway. Or fixing drivers issues at some point, but I need to find time. So definitely that would be not in coming days because of the Ergo hack, and then let's see.
No worries. All right. Big Ergo is there's very little new people coming in. That part of that's due to market conditions, right? I would say we still have people building. We still have projects that are in the process of development, some of which do quite a bit promoting themselves. Others probably could do more. In terms of the core, trying to engage the community, have discussions, put together type of events like Ergo Hack. It'd be great to see more community engagement and kind of the marketing side. It's actually somewhat, I don't know, an interesting long-term question. I've always felt like in terms of core protocol development, it's a little bit stupid and also a little bit insane to get into like a lot of the marketing aspects of crypto, which I don't know, tend to be very, very price focused. And so, it is kind of the core. We've always focused more on education versus marketing with the hope that people would take that content, learn, and then kind of be a force multiplier. But it's hard to get people to engage sometimes. So I would encourage the community out there to be involved in that.
Actually, from social media numbers, I know, and I don't know all the metrics, right? Only for the Ergo Foundation related channels and groups. So numbers are increasing, right? So the community is increasing in size, and I actually see advancements in all the aspects, right? Maybe not groundbreaking, but still, advancements in messaging, right? In strategy and also tactical means. It's improving in all the aspects. I don't know, maybe in some aspects slowly, but surely. Recently, things actually, right?
Yeah, I would say so.
So, for example, I've seen mentions of Ergo, actually quite a lot of mentions in discussions about long-term security, crypto economic security of the Bitcoin protocol, right? Because of demurrage. In recent discussions about Turing completeness of the Bitcoin blockchain machine, which is not a new thing, but with BitVM announcement, a lot of discussions these days. And I saw Ergo been mentioned a lot actually. Actually, it's not bad at all. So it's improving.
Yeah, good. Next question. What do you think of the clown token from Paul and Baseless? Whenever there's a token that's tipped, usually I will go to the search history, type in some random ass keyword that pops into my brain, and dump it on somebody else. Now, one thing I kind of joke about is that I call it Louis Batra's retirement plan. Because there's a certain, let's say, markup to cover some of his costs. I think the tip bot is actually a really powerful social tool that's not used too much. And I've kind of asked the question recently in Baseless without ever any good answer, but that's not necessarily uncommon. How come they don't use that in other social channels, right? You have Twitter, you have, Discord, you have things that are beyond the little Baseless bubble. And it'd be better to bother people there instead of my tip wallet.
All right. Can you please teach me a bit about this clown token? So I've seen it in some Baseless discussions, but I don't know much about it actually.
Well, it's one unique function of the tip bot is this ability to kind of create emoji-based tokens. I can't say that. I guess there's some social thing where people will get bored and they'll create a token and then they'll start tipping people, right? That kind of seems to be the use case so far. So,
Yeah,
uh,
well, interesting.
I kind of have a tendency to get spams on these type of tip bots, but I don't ever want to have like exposure, so I just retip it, give it away to somebody. It's a type of
Uh,
lottery. But
yeah, well, I've seen also liquidity pools for the clown. This is quite interesting, and yeah. So then in future we can imagine that someone will issue a shed token, right? Emoji, and then yeah, it could be a shed to clown liquidity pool also, right?
don't
uh,
encourage them, friend. Don't encourage them. That's going to end up in my tip off wallet.
yeah. So then yeah, your wallet can be full of shit, right? Literally. Uh,
Just what I need. Just what I need right there.
uh, right, but yeah, well, liquidity pool with clown and shit also would be funny. So, I mean, what does it mean economically, for example?
I have no idea.
Totally surreal stuff as well.
That is what it is. Looks like next question with Oben. Although the DAA is good at keeping the average block time for 2 minutes, some unlucky users have to wait up to 10 minutes for a block. Can we reduce the outliers and keep all times close to 2 minutes? You're talking about the randomness of proof of work here. And so 2 minutes is just an average target that, the difficulty of blocks is set at. I've said multiple times that I would support, research development for an alternative difficulty adjustment algorithm. No, I wouldn't say that's going to necessarily fix the outliers of proof of work. That's just kind of baked into how the target and difficulty adjust. Now, it perhaps could help keep the difficulty adjustment, make that a little bit more smooth, but that's really a complicated rabbit hole. That type of community engagement, I've said multiple times, we'd be happy to throw out a grant for some serious research development and implementation, or alternative anyway, that miners could vote on. But if you're talking about let's say locking a block time and taking away the randomness of proof of work, then yeah, that's not necessarily a good idea, in my opinion. What's your take, Alex?
Yeah. So it's not about DA, right? But about high variance, right? In proof of work. Because of its randomness. There were some papers. I can remember one very old paper, actually from 2016, about reducing it. But yeah, anything like that was never implemented in any proof of work cryptocurrency I'm aware about. So yeah, I don't know. So need to check that paper again. But yeah, well, probably. I mean, why it wasn't implemented? Maybe it wasn't an issue ever, right? And yeah, well, maybe implementation is bringing own problems So yeah, I need to check. So that's very old paper. So I've forgotten about details of the scheme there.
All right, next question. What are your plans for the ERG raised from the gold Oracle token just sold on the auction house for 4,750 ERGs?
Oh, so as was said, well, it will be used to buy back gourds from the liquidity pool and then send them back to the buyback contract. So yeah, by that, the buyback contract would be tested as well. The only issue is that, well, the liquidity pool has no many gourd tokens, so I cannot put well the whole amount at once. So probably there will be multiple smaller interventions there. But yeah, after all, so all the ERGs will be just buyback gourds. So well, actually, to make gold's Oracle token, GOT token, right? Also more attractive. So yeah, quite interesting mechanics also, and well, this auction coin contract by an Unreal, which is using the auction coin is using the same mechanics, right? So well, it will emit tokens via auctions, and then use ERGs raised to buy back to buy the auction coins back from liquidity pool, right? And making them more attractive by doing that. So let's see how it goes. So well, I think it would be another pretty interesting digital finance idea after the hodl coin. And well, yeah, in this design by non-real. So what's interesting is that few tokens, like 5 auction coins, will be released each epoch, right? And they will be sold via auctions with different parameters, which is also quite interesting economically, as an economic experiment game. And it will be, I think, decreasing price auction, which is also quite interesting. So let's see how it goes. So well, it's quite interesting. Maybe even economically, well, results would be useful for the auctions theory. Well, mechanism design theory. So let's see. So it's not so digital after all. It could be.
Right, let's see what we have next. Have you looked at getting listed on more cross-chain dexes? Well, that's part of what Rosen is actually doing, is creating the infrastructure to get us cross-chain. And the nice thing about something that's actually a dex is you don't necessarily have to ask anyone's permission, right? You have the ability to simply add liquidity. Let's see what else. Looks like Billy O is asking a question. What are your general thoughts about the crypto market? Is the consolidation nearly over in GPU mining? I don't think we're there yet, to be totally honest. I think that, one, let's say, factor that we have to consider as well is cost of energy has not exactly been friendly. We are moving into winter, at least in the northern hemisphere, and that generally allows miners to use, their rigs more as a heat source rather than, as like summer mining is for the strong, let's say. The one thing that has not happened in the crypto market is there has been no real, let's just say effort by any centralized player to rebuild the market of GPU proof of work post Ethereum, which is really sad, especially if you consider the fact that many of these exchanges actually directly profited from Ethereum moving to proof of stake because they're running validators and earning rewards. So not only did they kind of support a rug, they also profited from it in terms of like the miner's perspective. So it's sad to see. I don't think GPU proof of work is ever going to die. I think that you always get sensational stuff in media, but it's certainly in rough state, rough conditions. There's a lot of miners out there that, are, let's say at this point, kind of spec mining. And sometimes I would say you just got to be careful with that mindset because, I see people hopping into things that I'm just going to say seem a little sketchy to me if I look at it from kind of a first principles perspective. But, then it's kind of turned into its own type of shit coining. It is what it is. It's something that I do hope that long term, the exchanges ultimately need users. Every miner is a user, liquidity provider. And so there is a certain, business logic there that exchanges aren't necessarily looking at. It's kind of hard to encourage them to, actively build that user base across GPU proof of work. Miners are, basically running rigs every day. But it's hard to compete when you have this, external competition with kind of VC coins that can just, print some tokens, go raise some cash and pay exchanges for listing. That's ultimately what miners are competing against. And I don't think that it's consolidated yet because you have to look at the market side. I ultimately think that long term, what's going to mark the trend reversal in terms of consolidation of proof of work mining is when we start to see market access, because that's ultimately what's going to be what rebuilds the miner security subsidy as a whole. Right. And that's unfortunate, but, most of the shit that I see listed on exchanges is pre-centralized rather than decentralized, in my opinion. Why don't we get to the next question? And then that's for you, Kushti. How has been your experience with the Kenyan cooperative using different methods, tools to provide loans, raffle, Excel contracts, etc.?
So very positive to the moment. Unfortunately, had to find time to play for more with different funding models and so on. Repayments are going on at the moment. There will be another fundraising Right, and as I said, so there will be also Paideia-based DAO, right? For once participated in both fundraisings, as repayments are going on nicely. So there will be needs in funds management. Would be good to consider more after some time, but that would require for getting into some details, right? So, what is economic activity about exactly there, and what other tools can be used there. I don't know, maybe some elements of local currencies or local currencies. So I have a pal of mine, Will Radic, living in Kenya, to the moment for 15 years, maybe 14 years. He is doing some local currencies in Kenya and writing about his endeavors, doing talks and so on. Check his efforts. Search for grassroots economies. I'm then thinking to visit that place at some point to maybe get the needed details, and then thinking about more tools to improve the economic life there. But currently, even the interest-free loans, right, is exciting and a big step forward for them.
Next question is for you, Alex, from S-Move. Says, I'd like to run a full node, but when I look up port forwarding, it sounds kind of risky. Is it actually that dangerous? And what do people in the community need to do to lessen any risk?
I don't see much risk if you close ports to the public, right? If you're running on a public IP, then please close ports. Don't rely on that node. Otherwise, as it would be public API node. If you're using this node for wallet or as a backend for some applications, close the ports. So API port 9053 by default. Otherwise, you can leave it if you're willing to provide public API, or don't use public IP, and then it's fine. So I don't see what are risks there if you are not providing API.
All right, next question is from Michael Manos. Says, I have a question. What narrative can re-promote the face of Candle Go Burr? That it's obvious that the education is only landing on devs. How do we get normies and PayPalers to be positive on Ergo? You have any thoughts on that, Alex?
Maybe this time you can start.
Sure, sure.
Yeah, I can start as well, but yeah.
Yeah, it's I don't know. We live in an era of really interesting economic distortion when it comes to central bank printing. I can look at as an American, the national debt. Is something that heard about my whole life. Talking about, hey, we have 10 trillion, we have 20 trillion, we have 30 trillion. Give it a time. What's the upper ceiling? 40 trillion, 50 trillion. And the difficulty with that mindset is whenever you have something that is essentially the government pays for, there's some assumption that at some point in the future it's going to be repaid. And it's interesting how if you had take a cause, whatever that cause is, and you say, okay, well, we need to raise funds for this. If they were to say, okay, we're going to pull that directly out of your paycheck, right? Many people would not be so supportive, right? They would see like the direct economic impact of spending, in their life right in front of them. And so instead, there's kind of something I see as a bit manipulative, where they say, okay, well, what we're going to do is we're going to borrow that from the future, expand the money supply, and basically it impacts our broader pricing of money, right? It creates inflation, and it does steal from people in terms of their purchasing power, but it's not something that they can see as a line item, right? And then, I guess periodically we get reports from the government saying, hey, this is the rate of inflation, which, I would say is oftentimes one of these situations where, you play funny with the numbers, you can kind of create the outcome that you want to create. Doesn't necessarily reflect well on the economic pressures that people experience. So, it's somewhat of a sleight of hand or illusion where, instead of being able to see the impact or direct cost right in front of you, it's moved into the future where it's kind of esoteric. And even though people may not necessarily see the impact of central bank money printing, they do feel it, right? And that shows up in, just the cost of living, cost of housing, cost of food. So it's not something that people don't necessarily experience. They just don't necessarily connect the dots because it's, part of the illusion of borrowing from the future. What's the education that people can broadly use? I think most people feel that, right? I don't think it's so separate from general human consciousness and experience in most societies that experience inflation, right? The question is, how do you build and create and implement meaningful alternatives? And that's where the space comes into play. And I do think that sometimes the crypto market, you'll see me on social media stealing something that came from Glasgow originally, which is, you'll say, it's crypto, baby, which sometimes there's no actual product or use case, but there's a lot of noise. And ultimately, if we want to promote useful alternatives to the system that we're in, we need to make sure they're useful, right? And I do think that, once the foundations of that are in place and let's say the user experience is where it needs to be, it will be something that's in demand. Now, whether it's, mass adoption or some counter-economic adoption, it's useful. And, unfortunately, I see a lot of people on kind of the market side that more or less worship the money printer, right? Because when you have that liquidity pouring into markets, numbers go up, right? And, you can ask the question from one perspective, is the number going up or is the purchasing power going down? I guess that's kind of a heavy question for most people to consider, but people are trained to look at, number go up and that's good. So, if the Fed's going to be printing or injecting liquidity into markets, and suddenly we get kind of this risk on high speculative boom because, well, money's pouring into the system. More or less, people love that, right? Because number goes up, but it does have real world effects, consequences. It does tend to create pressures, especially in different economic tiers. So it's part of why we're here. How can you get normies and PayPalers to be positive on Ergo? That's hard to do. I would say a hefty portion of people that moved into crypto have the number go up mentality kind of baked into their core ethos of speculation, right? And sometimes that can be a little crazy, but at the end of the day, it's crypto, baby. What's your take, Alex?
Actually, these days, in the background, I'm hearing a lot to different talks, workshops about monetary theories, history of money, and so on, right? So, well, for many years, actually, I'm consuming a lot of such content. Recently found a very interesting perspective that historically, money gives freedom, right? Mm-hmm. Freedom in interactions. For example, in economic interactions, right? With money, you are free, right, to respond. So if you got something in form of money, there is no need. So if you are using money interactions, right, there is no need for immediate response. Actually, you can find details about that in the book of Professor Makoto Nishebe. I've read the book like 3 years ago, and the book is its title. The Enigma of Money, right? So yeah, it's also about the first chapter of the book is about how money providing freedom in economic interactions, right? So, well, you can imagine an economy without money, but then such economy wouldn't have distribution, right? So both geographically and also in time. With money, there is no need for immediate response, and also, money is allowing people to avoid necessarily becoming a part of existing hierarchies, right, in order to succeed. So maybe building new hierarchies, right, to stay away to some degree, which is not quite possible with big money, so but still, right. So money. Historically and by design, by its role in economic life. Should reward actually small players, small businesses, and so on. Right. It's not the case right now. Right. So, for example, with this money printer and sharply increasing public debt in the US, for example, right. So, I read somewhere that now it's increasing by $1 billion to 200 million USD per hour, right? Which means that
Fiat,
uh,
baby.
yeah, which means that every American, including newborn babies, right, and very old people, is getting $4 of public debt every hour, right? But can you see that around actually?
Can you see? You
Yeah,
know, when
I mean, injecting such amount of money, right? If they're equally distributed, right? Distributed to the bottom of society, should be clearly seen, right, and provide huge effects. But I don't know. Do you see a picture outside changing because of
in terms of like the quality of investment for that type of liquidity, hell no. That
yeah,
doesn't.
so the emission is going to financial markets mostly, right? So to somewhere, but not visible. And it's not rewarding small businesses, right? Even more probably it's rewarding big players, right?
No,
And help them to eliminate small players from markets.
the emission of money here does not generally act in service to the whole. No.
Yeah, yeah. So then, there is demand, right? Then I believe, generally in most of places around the globe right now, probably to have safe, secure emission of new money made bottom up, right? Done in bottom up way and not the top down. In this way, the money functions in regards of providing freedom in economic interactions, and staying out of hierarchies would be preserved, right? So, increased. And then, I think cryptocurrencies is the natural attempt to do that, right? But it's not quite understandable, right? In the space, even unfortunately. So maybe, some. Right, and the attempts to do what they are doing, right? So to hoard Bitcoin's store of value, and then build economic tools via Lightning and so on. I think the Ergo ecosystem is doing quite similar thing, but with a more principled approach, right? And also with not so unreasonable limitation on layer one.
All right, let's take one more question from Billy O. What are you going to do with the SPF that Spectrum donated to the Ergo Foundation? It's going to become part of the long-term budget. I actually think that's a great precedent. I know that Rosenbridge is an example. It's going to try to follow that precedent that was set by the Spectrum team, and that's important specifically for long. because they are building on top of the Ergo network. So naturally supporting the core and making sure the foundation of the network remains resilient long term and supported long term is in their best interest. So it's something that's going to go to support core protocol research and development.
Yeah, and Ergo Foundation's multi-sig is published, and so some number of GORT tokens would be, let's say, donated to the Ergo Foundation, right? Because the foundation sponsored developer Greenhead did actually some work on the Oracle core and so on, right? Not to mention a grant assigned to Ergo for the initial design and implementation of the Oracle pool. It's them providing quite interesting way of securing long-term development efforts and marketing efforts, right, done by the foundation. There are some risks here, right, when there are some risks here when the foundation is getting involved in shares, rights of projects, of the ecosystem projects. On the other hand, so it's probably better than what Zcash did. I mean, prolonging Zcash Foundation rewards via hard fork, right, which is a no-go probably for the Ergo community.
Sketchy. No, I think there's a certain benefit there, and I'll speak bluntly for myself. I don't think I'll be a part of the Ergo Foundation forever, and when I'm not, that'd be a great goal to leave more value in the Ergo Foundation than when I started. That way, core maintenance can continue.
Yeah, well, and with time, hopefully there will be more tokens in the treasury.
Yeah, and it does open a good question. Long term, can you have exposure to something and still remain neutral? That's something that I hope the community always pressures the foundation to be neutral, right? Even if they do have some allocation that was donated. So it does open broader, longer term management questions that hopefully people come and discuss, make that public known assumption. What does that mean? What does it do? Where is it spent? All those good things.
Yeah, so neutrality is the biggest concern.
Yeah.
But yeah, well, the Ergo Foundation is aware of that.
Yeah, and I think ultimately the best way to preserve neutrality is simply transparency. And as Alex was saying, that multi-sig is known publicly, so it's something that everybody can watch. And if there's any questions, concerns, comments, certainly there should be an ability for the community to ask questions, right?
Yeah, true.
I would encourage that level of involvement from community members. That's great to see that they would care about that, because sometimes in this space, when you have a foundation that's like, I don't know, pick on Algorand, I'm going to drop 100 million on a drone league, that should kind of get a what the fuck is happening response. Is what it is. It's crypto, baby. Yeah, I think that's it on my side. Alex,
Yeah, so are you still alive without coffee?
Well, let me try.
All right, so then we can finish the AMA at this
All
point.
right. All right, everybody. Thanks for giving us your time and attention and questions. Please tune into the Ergo Hack. That's always kind of my favorite part of the Ergo ecosystem, looking at fresh ideas and looking at things coming together and kind of trying to figure out how they could be useful or entertaining or fun or beneficial long term. So thanks for your time, and I'll see you next week, hopefully.
Yeah, thank you, everyone. Thank you for your questions. Thank you for your attention. See you around the Ergo Hack and around next AMAs. Bye.
Good one.